Hello, church family. Thanks for tuning in to day 26 of our 30-day reading plan. In today's passage, we read about what must be the greatest transformation story in the Bible, maybe the greatest transformation story in history. The transformation of Saul to Paul is nothing less than a miracle, and yet another example of how God works in extraordinary ways to accomplish his purposes. There are three things in particular that make this story so astounding. First of all, think about it. Paul wasn't just some guy who was neutral about Jesus or simply didn't believe he was the Messiah. He hated everyone who believed in Jesus, seeking to persecute them and have them killed. Second, this transformation took place just like that. It wasn't a gradual process. God got his attention in such a way that Paul responded immediately. Third, he went from persecuting Jesus' followers to creating them in countless numbers. That is a miraculous turnaround. Once he surrendered to Christ, God used him to dramatically grow his kingdom, and it continues even today. Because Paul wrote so many books of the New Testament, we are still impacted by his remarkable transformation. Paul's story reminds me very much of a guy who we attended church with in Southern California before we moved here. I'll refer to him as Johnny. Johnny had been involved in some pretty bad stuff and was in a very dark place, definitely not following Jesus. This guy came from a pit of despair before giving his life to Jesus. But once he did, boy, did God use him. Because Johnny came from such a bad place, he had more reason than most to celebrate his salvation. So much so that during worship, when he was playing his guitar, he would literally jump up and down through the entire set of worship songs. His gratitude and praise exuded from him, not only while he worshiped through music, but also through every interaction he had. Johnny started what grew into a very successful ministry that helped people who were going through exactly what he had been through. Using what Johnny had gone through, God uniquely equipped him to minister to others who were facing similar challenges. Paul was also uniquely equipped to reach others for Christ. He had the ability to speak from experience to those who had doubts about Jesus as the Messiah, or those who had negative feelings about people who followed Jesus. God uses all of our stuff, our experiences, our history, and every difficult situation we endure to equip us so that he can use us for his kingdom. Don't waste what God has put you through. There is always someone who is struggling and can use your story to give them hope and encouragement. For our prayer point today, I'm going to ask you all to pray for all our educators, whether grade school, college, or even first responder and military training classrooms. Educators across the country have had to make some creative and difficult adjustments to ensure their students have continued to receive their education. They have undoubtedly faced a great deal of stress through this transition we are in. Please pray for their continued inspiration, for creative adjustment, as well as endurance. Thanks for joining us today. Blessings.